Hi everyone, I'm Cerowyn and I'm one of the creative content producers for Sheffield Flourish, the mental health charity. And one of the things that they do is share stories on their website about mental health. And so in my role, I write, draw cartoons and create videos sharing my own mental health experience and helping other people share their stories. So today I'm here with the lovely Kat, who I'm going to be interviewing about her mental health experience and what has positively and negatively affected that throughout her life. So hi Kat.
Hi, as we've established, my name is Kat. I'm a mixed race woman, I'm cisgendered, and in terms of my mental health, I suffer from clinical depression and anxiety.
What has made you want to sort of speak out about this now and kind of share your experiences?
Because I wanted to help alleviate the negative stigma surrounding mental health. It's very much a taboo subject, especially in workplaces, and I felt by being kind of open and being almost a visual resource that people could see that anybody can suffer from mental health at any point in their life, regardless of their background, race, etc.
Your mum is from a Chinese background and your dad's from a Jamaican one. How would you say that being BAME or from those specific communities has affected your mental health?
I think in terms of being BAME, I think if I start from schooling, for me, I was bullied heavily because I'm mixed race. I'm not a very common combination of races, and the fact that I'm just non-white and I went to a predominantly white school, and children are very good at pointing out the other, and they will repeat what adults in their life are saying. And my primary school wasn't very good at dealing with the racist bullying, because it was majority white staff. And when you come from a BAME background, especially if you're, say, like first or second generation, or even third, your parents expect a lot of you, and schooling and education is incredibly important. But what I found when I was in school, going to, again, a majority white school, where a lot of the children were from middle class backgrounds, they didn't value education the same way my parents did, and they could be quite disruptive in the classroom, which obviously is affecting my learning. And if my grades slipped, my parents would be asking why, and that in itself built up a lot of anxiety. So I was a very anxious child about my grades and my performance in my education, and I guess colleagues at school couldn't understand that, and I was ostracized for it. Speaking to some friends when I was in sixth form who were also BAME, they had the same issues. We're always told that the playing field isn't even, so we're having to work 2-3 times as hard to try and even get the same opportunity that a white colleague might get. And I also think that the school system didn't help, because they ostracized you in such a way that if you stepped out of line even once, you were pigeonholed as someone who was disruptive, as someone who didn't have any life goals, and then the teachers just gave up on you. So you couldn't afford to accidentally fall in with the crowd. When you're kind of in a society that's forcing you to assimilate but doesn't understand the struggles you've gone through or doesn't want to understand, I think it makes it that much harder to seek out help with your mental health.
Yeah. And in terms of that, because obviously you're also openly queer, which is another thing that this society struggles to deal with. Do you think that that's also, through your teenage years, impacted on your mental health?
Oh, most definitely. So I'm raised Roman Catholic, and I went to Catholic schools all the way from my nursery all the way to the end of sixth form. And I was very much involved in my then church community, which was Catholic. And the message you get is that being queer, being gay is a sin. You're going to burn in hell. It's wrong. It's, unnatural. When you find out that you're this other, that this persecuted kind of image of whatever they believe it is, that builds up constant anxiety. And for a lot of queer youths who are coming to terms with their sexuality, they experience, suicidal thoughts. And I wasn't exempt from that. I definitely had suicidal thoughts at ages 17 and 18 because I was in conflict between my religious beliefs and supposedly being just who I am. And I hadn't had the chance to meet anybody who was BAME and openly queer. For a lot of people, coming out can mean being disowned, being shunned from whatever community you're involved in. For me, church was quite a massive part of my life growing up, and the thought of being completely shunned and my family undergoing some form of shame and embarrassment from my parents because in my mixed heritage, being queer isn't something that is looked on favourably. I definitely know in being in Jamaica, they still have, reggae songs about beating gay people to death. And that's very much normalised lyrics. And so the thought of coming out to my family or friends, it was terrifying. And that had a real negative effect on my mental health. I think my depression was the worst it ever had been when I was about 17, 18. My anxiety levels were so high, and I felt ostracized and isolated. And I think that's why it's so important to have people who kind of look like you, who have similar experiences to you, that are being open about their journey with their mental health, just so you don't feel alone.
Yeah. And in terms of that, when you have been open about your mental health and your anxiety and your depression, have you felt that the people in your life have been able to support you?
My family have always been understanding, but more in a clinical way. So it was always very easy to describe the symptoms I was having and the feelings I was having. And my parents would be like, okay, you're experiencing this, that's okay. If you need space, go take space. But I wouldn't say there was much of an emotional response to it from my parents' work background. And, that's the way they dealt with people with mental health, was being quite clinical. But now I'm very open about it. I have really good friends who I can talk about it. And the fact that a lot of them are like, it's really good to normalize it, and they also suffer from their own, tribulations, ups and downs. And the fact that my partner is really supportive and really understanding and empathetic. So if I'm feeling a certain way, they encourage me to tell them so that they can look after me, and so I don't feel so alone. So I would definitely say the talking about it has gotten better as I've gotten older. I think it's really hard as a teenager to say that you're suffering from any form of mental health because of the negative stigma associated with it, and that your hormones are all over the place, and so you're feeling all sorts of things.
Yeah. What do you think would make it easier for young people to be able to open up and start that dialogue younger?
I think schools, they have workshops to do with sexuality now and sex ed, but they need to treat mental health as just like any other form of an illness. If you broke your leg, you would take medication, you'd take the time for it to heal, and your mental health is exactly the same. And I think normalize it and saying to kids, if you're feeling this way, it's okay and it's normal. And you can talk to people about it. Like if there's a support network with lots of different individuals and all different aspects of life that can talk about their experiences and how they manage it and how they've gotten through it, I think that would be really helpful. I didn't have anything about mental health growing up in school at all. All I had was what my parents told me, which was more than what most children got.
Yeah. Would you say that your own attitude towards your mental health has changed throughout your life?
I would say so. I would say growing up, I saw mental health as a weakness, unhealthily so. I kind of, if I felt a certain way, I would not want to talk about it. I would feel like you should be able to endure it and get over it. But having medication, is a form of weakness. And in fact, when I've been on medication now for the last 3 years, and I wish I'd gone on it slightly sooner, to be honest, because it took a little bit to adjust to, but I feel like how I used to as a child, I actually feel things. So my depression is in such a way that I don't feel anything at all. I don't have an emotional reaction to anything. Nothing makes me happy, nothing makes me sad. It's very, very low. And I just felt as if I could deal with that myself. And I kind of frowned on people who did take medication quite early, and I'm like, oh, why are you taking them early? You shouldn't need to, just deal with the issue, whatever it is. And getting older and finding out kind of the symptoms that your depression can occur as. So the only reason I actually ended up on medication was because I had extreme insomnia. So I would only sleep for 4 hours a day every day. And at that time I had a full-time job and I was traveling a lot. And I just couldn't sleep and I was exhausted. So that's how my depression kind of manifested itself. And going on medication, I eventually got relatively regular sleeping pattern back. I felt joy for things, really simple things like, having a biscuit. I was like, oh my God, I have joy from eating a biscuit with a cup of tea. And I was more outgoing, and I wanted to try new things, and I would talk to people that I didn't know, which I used to find really anxiety inducing, just talking to a stranger, holding a conversation. And now I would definitely say that you don't have to go on medication. There's other coping mechanisms you can use, but most definitely exploring your options, whether that be through therapy or through medication or through peer support groups. You don't have to feel so alone by yourself. And I think the strength in admitting that you have a mental health issue and seeking help about it, I think, there's great courage in that. And I wish someone had told me sooner that it was okay.
Yeah. Because I think, you wouldn't ever tell somebody if they had a serious physical issue going on, oh, you just get over it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Someone's got like two broken legs. Oh, get over it. Just go walk, go run. You wouldn't tell them that. And it's
run, that'll sort you out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's exactly the same with mental health.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. From my experience, I think accepting that this is an illness, and that if I was getting the flu, I would let myself lie down and rest for a few days, and that it's perfectly okay to do the same for your mental health.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So when you are struggling, obviously you say you've taken medication, but as well as that, is there anything that you would say really helps you when you're having a dip? What sort of things do you do that kind of helps you through your deal with your mental health?
I think the key thing is trying to very slightly alter your kind of mental reaction to it. I kind of always think about it as that it's like a rainy day. So it will eventually pass, like it's not forever. And that just helps me think to myself, okay, I can get through this select time period. And then the next thing I like to do is make very, very small, achievable goals just to get me moving in my day, even if it's just getting out of bed, getting a shower, and getting something to eat. And just making sure that my body is functioning, even if my mind isn't quite functioning as it should be. And I try and do, as you say, if you're working, try and get some time to yourself, or where you can just do something that would normally make you happy, or at least relaxed. For me, that's normally just snuggling up with a blanket and watching a film. That just makes me giggle. Just something small. I like to do exercise, so I'll do Aikido because it obviously gives me a dopamine high, which helps balance out whatever's going on in my brain. So any form of physical movement is very helpful. But if you're not a very physical person, sometimes it could be just doing some meditation and some breathing exercises.
Just sort of putting yourself into your body.
Yeah, pretty much. Or just kind of writing down how you're feeling. Sometimes it just helps just to have that monologue that you've written all these thoughts out and it's out of your head. And if you have someone you can talk to or email or on the phone and just talk to them about it and just say, I'm feeling this, I'm not feeling 100%, just so someone can just say that you're going to be okay. And I think having that contact in your phone or whomever that person is, if you live with them, and just, and they're aware of what you're going through, I think you definitely need a support network. It definitely helps. But yeah, for me, it's always been TV, food and exercise.
Great. And I agree when you say that, kind of just shifting the way you think about it. You can't take it away, you can't take the anxiety away, the depression away, but you can go, okay, this is something that's happening to me, this is something that will pass. Because I think it's very easy to slip into, this is just me and this is my entire life and my entire world. So yes, I agree, that's sort of subtle, it's a very subtle thing, but it's a really important thing to learn, I think. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Kat. It's been lovely chatting to you, and yeah, good luck.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Everything. All right. Bye. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Do go and check out the Flourish website. We've got lots of stories on there, ways that you can get advice and support for your own mental health and for supporting others. There's lots of things still out there, even during lockdown. Also, we're going to have some links below this video specifically for BAME and LGBT individuals, so check those out too. All right, look after yourselves. Bye.